Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
After that trade deadline, first things first, is everybody okay? Is everybody all right after this trade and that trade, and this guy's going there, and that team did this, and that team didn't do anything? Are we all okay?
I'm not really.
Is there anything we can
like
help
that,
you with
Jer.
on that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the West got better. A lot of teams potentially got better, and that's all. On paper, there's 3 or 4 teams that some I don't like at all got better. So that part bothers me. And, the Kings are, confident in where they are, evidently. And so I'm I understand why the Kings didn't maybe do anything. They couldn't get the right deal, so you don't reason to do a deal if it ain't the right one. But, no, I did not want to see the West get better.
So a little disturbed by that?
A little disturbed by that.
Yeah,
yes.
Mr. Basketball?
Yeah, all the names that we talked about, I'd see them come across the Twitter machine after I turned it on. I'd see them come across and go, oh, there's Plumlee. Oh, no, he's going to – oh, there's Thibault. Oh, no, he's going to another team. So it was kind of like getting you excited about it and then kind of like a letdown. And as Jerry says, a lot of them going to teams, wait, we have to play them 3 times. We have to play them 3 times. So it was a little bit disappointing from that sense. And I agree with you, Jer. Of course I agree with you. You know what you're talking about. As far as they were looking to make deals, they weren't there. They didn't make any deals. But the one thing I don't think I agree with the general sentiment is, a lot of people say, well, Plumlee, we didn't get Plumlee. Oh, he's not going to get you a title. But he's going to make you better. He's going to make you better in the short term, and what Monty McNair, it seems to be, is building a team, And the way you improve that team is keep adding parts to it. And so you'd think that one of these guys would have been a part. And the other thing that I'm worried about is, you look at the Western Conference, the difference between hosting a first-round playoff game and being in the play-in game, maybe 3 games, it could be that small. So if you get a guy like whoever it would be, and they make a difference of 2 or 3 games, that's huge for this year. And I know we're all sit back and go, well, it's a long process and everything. No, if you can get better this year, get better this year, and I would like to see that happen.
Jerry, how does it make you feel? You've accomplished an awful lot, of course. You're in several halls of fame. To have Mr. Basketball say, I agree with you. How does that feel?
It gives you a little cuddly, warm feeling.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I just, it just
Yeah.
makes you feel like, my God, I made it.
Did something right, huh?
Well, let me ask you the other side. Is there anything that Whitey could say about you that would give you a similar feeling?
See, I'm trying to be nice, and then he's going and coming right at me.
I'm
right
trying
at
to
the,
build you
coming
up
right
as well.
at the knees. I don't think you are.
Short of a group hug or something, that's about it.
All right, we have our roles. Let's stick
See,
with them.
obviously, we'll dive into the deadline some more here. I'm not saying we get tired of talking to each other, but we would love to involve you in the conversation.
Yeah, a
So-
lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Yes. So
Help me.
Our question of the day.
more,
Of course, you can reach out. Any comments or questions on the deadline for Mr. Basketball or Jerry? Of course, those are welcome. But here's our question today. So if you reach out to us today on the YouTube chat, or you can email us or reach us on Twitter, you could actually win something. And this is going to be up to Jerry. If we get a response that's worthy of it, Jerry will award this. And we may not have a winner today, but this is for our best response or comment of the day. How about that, Jerry? This is a Jerry Reynolds 1989 Hoops card, and Jerry has promised to consider signing it.
That's very close to that guy right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
He's saying, what the hell am I doing?
Which says a lot in card form and in real form.
Our question today, if you need a thought starter, is if you could change one thing about the NBA, any which way, if you could change one thing about the NBA, for better or worse, what would it be? So our best response today may win Jerry Reynolds' card, which he may autograph. Have a couple other cards here that you could win.
Wow.
Maybe. And, I had to go deep into my underground vault for these. I don't keep these.
No,
with my
you
other
are
cards.
quite the collector.
This is a Marvin Bagley. It's called a Cracked Ice Prism. I want you guys to look at that. It's a current edition. See if you notice anything unusual about that card.
Yeah, he's playing.
It looks like
That's true.
Yeah, he's in action.
Yeah, he's actually not sitting
You may
down.
have to check the back of it as well to see if you notice anything unusual about it.
That doesn't look like him.
Vince Carter.
That's Vince Carter.
Yeah. So that's
Wait
an
a
error.
minute.
That's an error card. That is.
So it's Marvin Bagley on the front and Vince Carter on the back.
Yes.
Ever been a bigger discrepancy in talent between the front of a card and the back of a card, Jer?
No, I was going to say, just winning it to get Vince on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a collector's item then?
I don't know. Somebody's asking like $25 for it on eBay.
That's all?
Doesn't mean they'll get it. But
that's tremendous.
Yeah, so the Marvin
love
Bagley, Vince Carter error card. And then finally, because Phantom, you could win this card as well. I don't know if anyone would want this, but last time on the Old Fashioned 3, Phantom accused me of making up a player. So I just wanted to show you guys this as proof that the player I mentioned last time for Z's actually
is it
exists.
Zong Zing or whatever his name is?
No, it's Wang Zhiji.
Oh, Wang Zhiji.
Yeah, there's a Wang
Boy,
Zhiji.
he looks like he's really open to some defense there, Jer. Where's my man? It's a great card.
So there you go.
And it's Vince Carter on the back.
No, it's
so how
not.
great is that?
No, Vince Carter on the back
He's
of
got
that
that same look on the back that he does on
know.
the front.
He, things didn't quite work out.
That's
in the NBA,
awesome.
but
I love
anyway,
that.
if you want, if we hear from you, you could win.
Tremendous.
Your choice. Well, I don't know about the Bagley card.
think
We'll
we'll-
see.
no, I
That's be a
think
really good one for that area.
Wang Zhiji, he and Martin Nestle could have just battled for a half hour. Nobody scored.
How many times does someone say Wang, it's a parking lot to him? I'm sure there's a lot.
I'm betting you're the only one, but
I think
you've
there's
said
a
it
lot
many
of
times.
people. I would have said it I would have
I
been
know.
a season ticket holder
I
and
was-
gone to every game.
I was stunned that you didn't say it Wednesday. Really?
Well,
How
I was
come
still
Fenton didn't
taking-
go for?
Guess I didn't do it on a guy that you made up, but now that I know he's real.
Okay, so there you go. If we hear from you YouTube chat, that's great. If not, hey, glad you're with us here on the Old Fashioned 3, where I guess we're blown up on TikTok, Jer.
Well, we should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Should be
Okay.
blowing
Do you
up
know
on
how we
every-
got there, Jerry? Do you know how we got to TikTok? I have no idea.
No,
no way.
I don't.
We're blown up on
understand.
TikTok. What are we doing now?
I don't understand even YouTube. So I mean,
Computers actually, kind of puzzle me. Yeah.
I don't understand replying to emails.
Typewriters I get. You know?
That's like I forget which movie it is. Maybe it's Hannah and her sisters. Woody Allen asks his dad, like, "Dad, what's the meaning of life?" And his dad says, "I don't even know how the can opener works."
Yeah.
How am I
And then he went
supposed
and took a big took off a cigarette. I love that. That was great.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
a great movie.
Okay,
Hannah and her
thank you.
Sisters. Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
trying
Did I
to
get the right movie?
Add context. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you did.
Do you think here, back to the trade deadline, are the Kings going to regret standing pat?
Well, we won't know till the end of the year.
But that's what we do. We're
Yes.
going out making these bold
I mean,
predictions.
I think, I
Making
mean, I
these bold
think if they
predictions.
can stay in the top 6, they won't. And I think if they fall further than that, I think they'll probably wish they could have done something. But, to me, my mind, I can't in any way criticize Monty McNair because you don't know what was on the table.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to assume they could have done this or done that. Well, you can't do that.
People like to say, you could have gotten better. Why didn't you get better? It's like, well, maybe they couldn't, and they're obviously playing well.
Well,
but-
and the other point is I always go back to the early years of when the Kings really were good, and basically that team wasn't good enough. It did get in the playoffs, but each year additions and subtractions were made until finally about the third year they won a playoff series. It was the third year of Rick Adelman's run before they won a playoff
Wasn't
series.
Phoenix the first team they beat in the
Yes.
playoff series? And I
Yes.
remember Grant asking you, did you ever think they'd do it? And you said, I did. I knew they would do it eventually.
Yeah, I
remember
did.
that,
I
yeah.
mean, they were too good not to, in my mind. But until you do, you don't.
Yeah.
Type thing, So
Yeah. And you got the buyout market, so we have to wait and see before we decide these teams are, GMs are idiots or not. What are they going to do in the buyout market? But Phantom, do you think the Kings will regret standing back?
I kind of think so. I know I was talking about it with my friend Stones McCoy yesterday.
Hot take.
My
Phantom.
thought was that Monty McNair came to the table with a shopping list of guys maybe he would want, and he had a certain price he was willing to pay for them, and then he never got what he wanted as far as that's concerned, and he didn't overpay for the guys at the end of his list. But on the other hand, you want to be like, okay, you know what you're doing. Obviously, you've got a plan. But then you see the price that some people paid for guys that really seems like they could help you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait, they just traded him for a guy they bought out. That's how you got Mason Plumlee. That's how you got Thibault. So that's kind of puzzling to me as far as all of a sudden 5 second-round picks is Sadiq Bey. Now, I don't know that we wanted Sadiq Bey, but he seems like a pretty good player. Is that the price for Sadiq Bey? So that you kind of wonder why didn't they go after this guy, because the price just wasn't that much. So that must indicate that he really is happy with what he had. And I thought that we talked about it. There are areas you think you can improve this team, even at small increments.
yeah, well, that was my only second guess, and would have been Mo Bamba. You knew he wasn't going to play much for Orlando. It doesn't mean but he was a former 5th pick. He can shoot threes, a 7-footer, shoot threes, and he can block shot. 2 things he can do. And from my standpoint, it's like, well, yeah, the only reason he'd be good or could be good, and I'm not saying he would be, but could be good for the Kings is because of those 2 things. He can block shots, he can shoot threes, which means he could play with Sabonis because he really is a good 3-point shooter from the corner. And so
No, I read today John Hollinger said Mo Bamba was not even the best center on the Magic named Mo.
No, I think that's true. Mo
Wagner.
Mo
Yeah.
Wagner.
Yeah.
I agree with all that. I mean, but that doesn't change what I just said. I mean,
That
it's
he
like
would have addressed a need.
he might have addressed a small need, and that's what you're looking for. And but it's also true. He may not do it. I mean, it's a little bit like I thought that Damian Jones would really fit a need for the Lakers. Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, the Lakers happy with what they did. So I don't understand this. Like last night, it's a pretty big game for them. They're all big games for the Lakers. And I guess LeBron, he hurt his foot and he sits out and they lose again. And everyone's just like, oh, wasn't that great what LeBron did? Like, at some point you have to start winning games.
LeBron has the most
And they
points
did
ever.
some nice things. I know they got rid of Bryant, who you like.
I think that's good. I think Denver, here again, they're the best, and they added a guy that should help them. A big that could play a little behind Jokic and maybe with him because he can really shoot on the perimeter.
Yeah, but they lose Bones Highland because he and the coach didn't get along. I think Bones Highland's a good player.
I do too, and
He's going to the Clippers. The Clippers are doing things.
yeah, and then he'll probably help the Clippers. At least short term. I think he, But as you said, I mean, he and Mike Malone didn't clearly weren't on the same page, and he needs to go if that's the case. He's not Luka Doncic, so
Yeah. I thought the Grizzlies addressed a need by getting Kennard because they need some shooting, and I don't know if that's enough, but that's they're definitely better now from the perimeter with Luke Kennard.
I agree with that too. Yeah, small. It's a small addition, but an addition that can help you. Now the Pelicans, I was trying to think who they picked up. Oh, Richardson.
Yeah, and they had Devontae Graham out, right?
Graham and a bunch
Josh
of
Richardson.
second-round choices.
I thought now that's a little move that is interesting because he can really shoot the ball and if they're healthy, which of course there never are. But with
no one ever is.
But Zion and Ingram, and then you add him as an off the bench guy. They're potentially, as we know, they were up high in the standings earlier, and I think they could get back there.
Well, the guy that got me, I thought I understand what the Warriors were doing because you explained it last time about Wiseman and how he makes $12 million, but it's really $84 million. So then he gets traded, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know why they traded him. They saved $74 million. Now they're pretty smart. Then they go get Peyton, and they give most of it back. I didn't understand that.
They say,
I
think
understand why they don't want to get Peyton, but
I think according to Woj, they saved $7 million this year, even with that, and like $30 million next year, depending on how things play out. By the way, thank you, Stones. Woj just tweeted that Anthony Edwards, Pascal Siakam, and De'Aaron Fox are expected to be named the 3 All-Star reserve replacements for the game in Salt Lake City. So it looks like De'Aaron Fox is going to be an All-Star.
Well, all deserving, all very deserving, that's for sure. I don't think there's any question there.
NBA just confirmed it.
There you go.
They called
Fox is an All-Star. They called
Commissioner
Stones.
Silver called Stones.
Stones.
Yeah.
Say Stones.
All right, then there's your answer. Then you're talking about why didn't the Kings do it? They got 2 All-Stars. What do they need to do?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what do you need to do with 2 All-Stars?
Come on.
And you're number 3 in the West. What are you doing? Come on.
I do think it's going to look like they should have done something no matter what. I think even if they've done something, it's going to look like they should have done more because the schedule gets a lot tougher.
The schedule gets a lot tougher, and as we pointed out earlier, I think the other thing is the West got a lot tougher.
Yes.
Or potentially tougher. We don't know if that's really true, but it does appear that, and I think if the West hadn't done some of the things they did, Phoenix, Dallas, the Lakers, Clippers.
Clippers very busy.
Those teams is like, oh, okay, So that it's kind of a combination there, I think.
Do you think the Lakers are just in the frame now that it doesn't matter how many games we lose as long as we get into the play-in, and then all these guys are going to gel and we'll be fine? Which obviously that's rolling the dice like crazy, and you never know if Davis is going to be healthy. But it is weird when you see you get down to the final third of the season now, and this guy's just sitting out. This guy's not, and then you go, we're not even putting a team out there, and I don't know if that's connected to what we would do about the NBA as far as improving it. I don't know that you can mandate people have to play every game, but man, it just seems like the single game has been devalued so much in the NBA. It's like one game doesn't matter. Yeah, and I know people have said that a long time because there's 82 games, but now it's like the players are showing you, I don't care. It's not devalued. I don't care.
Yeah, it's like the Lakers are sitting back saying, well, we've got 8 games left. We need to win 20, so that should be no problem. Yeah. It's like, really? It's no problem?
Yeah, because look at the guys we have. We got James and Davis. Look at all these guys we have. We're going to go 27-1. Yeah,
we're going to, it's like, no, you're not.
You've lost 31 games already.
Even the game against Oklahoma City, as we discussed, when that was a big game for them. At least I thought it was. Stan Van Gundy said, this is an important game. So I don't know. How about those Phoenix Suns, Phantom? They've got, they want to get this fleet now into Championship Harbor, but 2 of your biggest boats are kind of Chris Paul, Durant, kind of listing.
They're listing
a little bit.
The first thing I thought about when I saw that is obviously Kevin Durant got traded to the Suns. That's crazy. But also the guys that they traded to get him, 2 of those 2 guys, Bridges,
Cam Johnson.
And Cam Johnson. I like those guys a lot. Yeah. And they got, 4 first-round picks? And so if you're going to trade Kevin Durant, that seemed like a pretty good haul. Now, I know Brooklyn's kind of overstuffed at the small forward, the 3-4 position, but that's the first thing I thought of. And then Durant, Paul, Booker, Ayton, I don't know who else. But still,
that's a good question.
I don't know who else, because if you take those 2 guys that you traded off your team, they were really an important. I mean, Bridges is a tremendous player.
Tremendous player.
So you're taking a lot.
You know
off
who else?
Your team.
Seriously, it's like Torrey Craig. Okay, if you're Phoenix, hopefully that'll work.
Well,
out.
That's the thing. It's like we've got these 4 guys. I mean, Ayton is fluctuating between star and disappointment all the time, it seems like. But you got 3 guys who are bona fide stars and a couple of superstars. even though Paul's a little bit older. So you've got that, but you can't just throw that out on the floor and make it work. Plus, you need to get something behind that. So I don't know. I'm not giving them the title right away.
Well, I'm not either. I mean, I think, I'll be surprised, though, if when buyouts happen, that a couple players are available players and they'll find themselves with the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
And the Suns, I have no doubt they're thinking one way. It's like we've got a 1 or 2 year window.
Yeah, that's what
and
they thought.
let's go do it. And I don't disagree with that because, I mean, if you can win a championship, it's just like the Lakers did getting Davis. I mean, it doesn't look good now, but winning a championship is
in a bubble. I mean, in the bubble.
But LA's different.
Does
too,
that
though,
count? You count that championship?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's like
I mean, it's not wasn't as exciting, but it counts.
Yeah.
just like the Dodgers, asterisk all over it, man.
Yeah. Anyway,
come on.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you can win a championship, you better. If you have a chance to, you better go all in because I don't care. With teams, I got a bunch of young guys. Well, they may not be young forever, and they may not be healthy forever, and they may not get better.
Yeah, the Wiseman trade. Another thing to me that's interesting about it is I was thinking last week about who was the last guy who was picked number 2 who was a massive disappointment, and now they're teammates, right? Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, because you want to
James
double down
Wiseman
on that. You
are
get
on the
Bagley,
same team, and Detroit already
Left-handed.
has, I think, 2 centers who are better than Wiseman. So. And they're trying to get Wembanyama, who, I mean, maybe he's a 4, but he's a center.
Maybe that's their way to get to Wembanyama is start 4 centers, and they're going to
Maybe.
lose. I mean, they're in that bottom 4 right now.
I guess they liked Wiseman before the draft, and I guess they figure let's see, maybe he can find something, but I don't think he can.
Well, that's the other thing. I think it's been established now at trade deadline. There's 4 teams that are dead in the water.
They're absolutely
for a reason.
dead.
So those are the 4 that's in the Wembanyama
exactly.
sweepstakes. Now, it doesn't mean they're all, but they're 14% chance or whatever. So those are the 4. Now, one of them's going to get him.
Possibly.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And likely to get him.
Right.
And 3 others are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least 3 are not going to get him.
3 are not going to get
3
him.
of them are not going to get him. Then what do?
Of those 4, we got Charlotte, we got Houston, we got San Antonio, and we got Detroit.
Yeah.
One of them had a pretty good day yesterday because with what happened with the Nets, all the picks that the Rockets got for Harden from the Nets, those are probably going to be better picks now.
They're going to be better picks now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So then the Rockets can have 12 first or second year players that don't like to pass and have no idea how to play. There you go. All right.
Yeah. There's how many 19-year-olds do you really need?
That's a great question. This isn't spring break.
No, and I mean,
there you go.
not just in the NBA, anywhere.
Yep, it's the old-fashioned 3 here. I'm just trying to make sense of this trade deadline. GP2 goes to the Warriors. The Warriors, I think, they really had to bite the bullet on, all right, we made a mistake on Wiseman. I think bringing back a popular player, and that's such a great story that they took him off the scrap heap, maybe that mitigates some of that, having to go, we screwed up on Wiseman. Because it's we got our guy back, and he plays defense, and he was really good for them last year. So they're a little better than they were. I don't know how much better. They still think that they got a chance, too. With everything going on in the West, the Warriors think they still got a chance. If they get their core guys healthy when the playoffs start, they think they can make another run at it.
I think they're admitting 2 mistakes. They're admitting that their mistake on Wiseman and also the mistake of last year's bench can be replaced by this year's bench, younger guys growing into that spot because they obviously can't. And they had to bring one of the guys back who was the key to that. And I think it's going to really help them a lot. I mean, even if they had to admit a mistake, I think it's really going to help them a lot.
Yeah, it does seem like DiVincenzo is starting to fit in and find his niche and being a little more productive. And then you had Peyton, a tough-minded
who's been
kid
there
that
before.
he was. I mean, I think it makes him a little better. But I certainly agree with you, Phantom, on this, is that they were convinced that their bench would not be weakened.
Yeah.
Well,
they
clearly
thought
it
they had
has been. I think they missed Belicia. Quite
Yes,
a bit.
they do.
Yeah.
Because of it, not that he was, but he was a good high post passer, could make shots, behind Looney.
Really useful guy to have.
A
when you
useful
needed
guy
him.
to have.
And Porter was really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they fit in on that second unit.
Yes.
Not everybody fits into the second unit. You get a little older player who recognizes this is my role. This is what I have to do to make it successful.
Yeah, and he really was a skilled guy. A 6'11" skilled guy that was unselfish. And too, the other thing with Peyton, I think they felt like in my opinion, they felt like they need him because I think they were counting on Andre Iguodala being ready to go and provide consistent off-the-bench defense and play, and I think it's pretty clear that is not going to happen.
Yeah, he's
No.
not Tom Brady. Yeah, he's
Defense has been the big issue with them, and Peyton's a good defender. Can I give you some numbers on him because I think they're.
I think you should.
You know, I know numbers.
Do you want him?
yeah, I think he
okay.
really wants
Okay.
to give him to us, Jerry. You got to read them. Read the room.
Not last year, but the year before, they had Peyton for 10 games. Okay, so offensive rating, defensive rating. When he was on the floor for them, offensive rating, this was not last year, the year before, offensive rating was 152, which is really good. It's
That's
only
good.
10 games.
That's good.
Defensive rating was 95. Okay, so that was in 10 games. The year they were the plan. Then last year, he played in 71 games. Offensive rating was 129 when he was on the floor. When he was
So good.
on the floor, their defensive rating was 103. So I don't know if he can be as good as he was last year when he shot 62%. But you're right. I mean, he definitely helped them a lot last year for a guy that that nobody wanted. Short time ago, nobody in the league wanted.
I know it was a money thing, but you look at those numbers, you're like, I'm not letting this guy get away. Why am I letting him go somewhere else? I know I couldn't afford him, but still, that's astounding numbers.
I know.
The discrepancy there.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's a little bit like Davion Mitchell is on his way to be, and I know he's not. And reading fans, well, Davion, you got to move him. He's not this. He's not. I said, well, no, he's not exactly. But when he's on the floor, once you get past the fact he's not scoring as much as you want him to, he's still having an impact. And I'm old enough to remember guys in the past, early on in their careers, the Gary Paytons, John Stocktons, that people in for sure, Kyle Lowry.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle
Yeah.
Lowry was at Memphis. He wasn't good enough, they said. Too small, can't score. Goes to Houston. Not quite good enough. How'd that work out? Well, it took him a while. And I don't see anything about Davion not at this stage. I'm not saying he will be. That's not better than Kyle Lowry was in his first 2 years.
Well, I think, Jared, you guys, please, Mr. Basketball, great Jerry Reynolds, correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of people like to rant and rave about bigs. James Wiseman, it takes longer for bigs to develop than any other player. I think it takes point guards longer to develop than bigs.
I do too. And I mean, one other one comes to mind immediately, when people are wanting to give up on guys. Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson, they got Bobby Jackson on his fourth team. Now, last time I checked, he's pretty damn good.
Yes. Denver, Minnesota, and I forget the other team that he was on.
Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Seattle, I think, first.
All right,
I'm not
okay,
sure. But
okay,
in there,
yeah.
so it's fourth team. And it's like, well, where would the Kings been without that guy?
Nowheresville,
Yeah.
brother.
Nowheresville.
And then fit always comes back to it too. It may take you 3 or 4 teams to match where your maturity goes to where the team needs you, and you fit in, your skill set fits in with that team, and that obviously was a perfect example.
Yeah, in
of that.
fact, most players, I
Yeah.
think. I think the majority of players almost that are draft picks in first round need to be traded because they come in in the league with a skewed idea how good they are, and then they kind of get bounced around and then are ready to fit into significant roles. Maybe Bones Highland comes to mind, of guys.
I'm Bones
that-
Highland.
Yeah.
We know you are. Sit down.
Yeah, sit down. You're not as good as this guy.
And I like Bones
And
Highland.
even the guys at the top of the draft, a lot. Some of them come in with the lesser teams, and they have to do things that aren't really their skill sets. Or
Yeah.
they have to try to be everything. Like Banchero has actually done a pretty good job.
Yes,
of it,
he has.
But come in and you have to kind of be the guy, and maybe you're not ready to be the guy, and so sometimes you need a new location to kind of fit what you do into what the team does.
I think that team's close. They beat Denver last night, right?
They're-
the Magic beats Boston like
Yeah.
a drum.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
They're close.
We
I'll
like
say
them.
that. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
our guy Jonathan Isaac's still on the team.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of time.
No, I mean if he can stay healthy and add to it.
Well, they got rid of Bamba, so that must mean
Well,
they're sort of.
Well, they had so many guys
Yeah.
that probably had potential. It's like at the point guard spot, with
Suggs.
Cole Anthony and Suggs and the number 1 pick,
Markelle?
Markelle Fultz.
Yeah,
yeah. So they're kind of overmatched there. Now Suggs has been a disappointment so far, but in my opinion, his athleticism. He's one of those guys you say, well, if he's available, I wouldn't mind taking a shot at him.
Right.
For a right price.
Yeah.
Because if he learns to shoot, you got something.
Big if. Phantom, you've been back east, so I got to ask you about the east.
Twice,
I know, you've been to
Went
Boston.
to Boston once, and I
yeah.
think I went to Atlanta once. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've pretty much
Yeah.
been back east.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about
Nailed
That's
it.
enough. That's all you need.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I went to Hard Rock Cafe and everything.
we went to Boston. It's like, where do you want to go? It's, oh, we got to go to the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah.
We're in Boston.
Yeah, I know.
I like to go to the ones in the different cities.
Yes,
So-
I did. Got T-shirts and everything. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I went to Cheers in Fenway Park.
There you go.
There you
See?
go.
Yeah, I went to Fenway
Yeah.
Park. I won't mention what happened there. Yeah.
So, what did you think of what the Bucks did and what the Celtics did? Celtics get Muscala, and the Bucks get Jay Crowder. And by the way,
I don't even know about Jay Crowder. I don't even know what he does anymore.
John Collins has not been traded yet, by the way.
I know, John. I don't think he's a real person. I think he's just a fictional character that they dangle out there. Yeah, I mean, the Celtics and the Bucks are in the same situation as far as just adding pieces, which I kind of think was what the Kings were in, and they added Muscala and they added Crowder. When is the last time he played? I don't know, but obviously
He's rested.
they don't need a lot from him because they're the Bucks, and so I'm sure he can provide it. And if he buys into the whole thing, yeah, they're doing that thing where they're really good and they're just adding little bits and pieces. And I think what they both did is good, and I wanted the Kings to do that.
Isn't Crowder at the risk of oversimplifying just basically, hey, he's a 3-and-D guy for us?
Well, that's what he is.
Yeah.
Now, and I think he got to thinking he was more than that. And I'd be interesting how it works out because, Joe Ingles is just getting minutes now, and I think probably, except
can
for maybe defense, is certainly a better player, better passer shooter.
Man, that guy can shoot.
Yeah, he can really shoot. It looks
Yeah,
funny,
it
but
does.
it goes in.
Yeah, but I
And-
mean, the more guys you have that can play, and obviously they look ahead to the playoffs. We need guys who can play in a playoff series, and they obviously think he can.
Well, and he can guard fours where Joe couldn't do that. So yeah, it's a move that makes him better. And then my guess is,
Can Joe guard anybody?
huh?
You said Crowder can guard fours, which Joe can't, which is true. Can Joe guard any
Threes,
position?
2s, 1s, 5s, 8s, anything?
He could probably guard Slow-Mo in
Okay.
Minnesota.
Could he guard Wang Zhizhi a little bit, maybe?
And Wang.
Wang!
Yeah.
That's
I'm
not
sorry.
his strength, if
Yeah.
that's what you're saying.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Muscala, I like that. I've been seeing him. The Kings play them, Warriors played them, and he's a decent stretch 4 or 5. You
Yes,
don't
he
like
is.
him?
He can
Yeah.
really,
Yeah,
no,
I
he
think
can
it's- yeah.
shoot. He's not going to rebound or defend, but
Yeah.
but they're looking for a spot thing. Mm-hmm. They've got the stars.
Yeah.
They're looking for somebody who can make an open shot, set a screen, stay out of the way.
Yeah,
Occasionally get a rebound if it comes in their direction.
yeah.
That's it.
Not asking a lot from. We're not asking a lot of them. No.
Just where you're standing.
Yeah.
Get that one.
So I know you've said, and it certainly looks this way, that it looks like we got Boston, we got Milwaukee, we got Denver. Clearly look like the 3 teams that have asserted themselves and maybe separated themselves a little bit. Did anything that happened at the deadline make you think there might be another team that's likely to bust into that threesome? I mean, of course, you never know what's going to happen. Nobody knows for sure. But do you see anybody else now poised to maybe join that 3-team party?
Well, talent-wise, the Hawks could.
Wow.
They've got enough talent. They've been, hit and miss.
Yeah.
And of course, you go back. Well, they did make the Eastern Finals 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they made the playoffs last year. Didn't do well, and they've been sputtering. A lot because maybe Trae Young and the coaches are trying to come to some sort of agreement. But if that happens, they'd be a team that would concern me. The Heat, you always got to consider them, right? Because of Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler and Bam. They're, but I don't think they're as talented as Atlanta.
So Phoenix, you're not quite convinced yet? Got to see how this.
I got to see more. Talent-wise, if they're healthy, they're the best team. In the
Just a
league.
top-heavy roster, though, right? It
Yes.
looks like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and their bench, but I think they'll get reserves. And Cameron Payne can play. He'll be back as a backup. So Landry Shamet can play. But they'll pick up a couple of guys if they do, and this is a huge if. Kevin Durant is as we talk about. He's certainly one of the 5 to 10 best players that's ever played. So he's there. Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. That's a championship level team, healthy. I believe that, but I also know that Durant has not been healthy for 3 years.
And Chris Paul was getting hurt, every year. 4 years ago, he was getting hurt.
And
so-
Booker's coming off injury.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of ifs. I don't disagree with what Phoenix did, because they always say, look at the deal, who got the best player. Well, as good as Mikal Bridges is,
Yeah.
Durant's the best player. He
Right.
might not be in 3 years, but he is right now.
Yeah, I think
And-
Durant's like the perfect small forward scoring machine, and I think Booker, when he's healthy, is the perfect shooting guard scoring machine. But I got to look at the Clippers, because talk about when they're healthy, and they seem to just add guys.
Yeah.
Every time you look at their roster, they've got 3 guys that you don't know how they got them.
They might add Westbrook.
Okay, I don't know if that would be ad.
I know.
I don't know if that's an ad.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to do that, but okay.
I know why
that's
he
fine.
would, but yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
like,
see.
I can't imagine them doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, with especially because of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Yeah.
Both the guys are needy players, need the ball.
Yeah, they have to
can
have the
do
ball.
a lot with the ball. So another guy that's a needy guy.
And Jerry West is still involved there, isn't he? So
To some
yeah.
degree,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, if they
yeah.
ask him, I can't imagine him going, "Oh yeah, let's
Yeah,
get."
I wouldn't think so.
He
But
just throw his trophies across
no,
the room.
you hear that, and of course, like I say, I think that's kind of why they moved on from John Wall. That he and Reggie Jackson, a couple of guys that maybe
Yeah.
didn't understand. That's the number 1, 2, 1,
Yeah.
2, 2, 1.
One doesn't. Well, like you said, they need the ball, and I need them to have it.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing, Reggie. I need them to have the ball.
By the way, Kevin Durant better than Kobe, right? Yes or no? I think so.
As a scorer, yes,
Just
definitely.
overall, just overall, better
because
player.
I think
What?
Kobe's a better defensive player.
I just think overall, I think Kevin
And I
Durant's a
think
better player.
Kobe, I know it's overused, that Kobe mentality and all that, but I think it's real, and I don't know that Kevin Durant has that. But
I think he does. Maybe not. To
I
the
think
degree.
I think offensively, as a scoring machine, he's the shark. He's the perfectly designed scoring machine, Kevin Durant. Nobody else.
I don't
can
want to
do
drag you
as
into this,
many
but if you have
things
any
as he can
thoughts,
do.
we'd love to hear them. But we don't. You don't.
I'm
going
gonna
to
I'm sticking with Kobe right now.
I'd probably go with Durant. I think just because I think he, as great a scorer is, he's a very unselfish player, and I think Kobe, for all his greatness, was a very selfish player,
Right.
And just easier to play with. I think Kevin Durant is easier to play with, and so as far as putting the championship team together, I mean, certainly Kobe played on a bunch of them. I'm
Putting
not-
the championship team together, if he doesn't get it, he goes and joins the team that won the championship.
Well, that
if I don't win it here, I'm going over there.
well, that's a major flaw.
Or maybe not. Today, maybe not, Jer.
Oh no,
Maybe that's a plus.
No, I was going to say
he can move over to the other team. That's great.
But see, you are using this flawed thinking that just because you signed a contract, a
Yeah.
long term, to be loyal to
Your name on the
with your
dotted
name
line.
on it, you think that means something.
You got to stay. You have to honor the contract. If you sign
Well,
a
that
4-year
used-
contract, you got to play for 4 years on that team.
That used to mean something.
Oh man, Jerry.
See,
You're changing the tables on me now.
yeah,
man.
now it's just words.
Can I tell you how different things are?
Just
You know
words.
better than us. But I was checking some things. Chet the Jet Walker, great player, right?
Yes.
Great
Oh,
player,
yeah.
Hall of Famer, Chicago Bulls. I was looking at his numbers, and he averaged first year in the league, he averaged 12 a game, and then he was between 19 and 20 some every year in his career. Every stinking year. So he was in his 30s, 1975. He's on the Bulls. They play the Warriors in the conference finals, and they lose.
Yep.
Okay? And he was a very productive player. So at that point, he goes to the Bulls, hey, I want a raise. I'm like, no. Okay, then I want you to trade me. And I'm like, nope. He says, well, then release me. The Bulls like, nope. He says, okay, I'm done. And he stopped playing.
He said, I returned. They said, nope.
If we know, did you ever know that? I mean,
No,
now
I did
just
not.
think. That's 3 days on SportsCenter. Chet Walker is unhappy, right? And back
Right.
then it was like, too bad.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he says, okay. And
Nobody even knew about
He ran
it, yeah.
a production company and did very well, but he's like, all right, you're going to pay me more money. I'm done playing basketball. At the peak of his career.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot.
It's changed. I think so. Yeah. I think
At least he didn't become a plumber. That would have been the
yeah.
worst.
And I'm not sure it was better then,
Yeah.
when you have a guy that great and the team's like, screw you. And he's like, okay, I'm going to stop
No,
playing.
I think there's a middle ground in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I mean, certainly it wasn't fair to the players at that time. Now it's not really fair to the teams
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and the league.
And the fans. I
Yeah,
mean, if
and
you
the
extend
fans.
That,
Well, the fans
further.
are going to get probably screwed in
Either
which
way, yeah.
but definitely it's not fair to the fans now, and it's it's anytime, like I say, a contract should mean something. It doesn't mean that a player shouldn't be compensated. It's almost like the baseball used to be in the 50s and 60s where guys had no free agency opportunities. And Mickey Mantle, you get 100,000.
And you were expected to help train your replacement.
Yeah.
Oh, we got this younger guy. He's going to be better than you, and we need you to show him how to do it so we can get rid of you sooner.
And
So
you
'cause
got,
he's cheaper,
and while
you know,
you're training that guy, you got a chance to learn how to be a plumber if you need to.
Yeah.
Because you will need to.
Yeah.
Well,
And if you don't want to do it, okay, bye-bye.
See you
We'll
later.
find somebody else who will.
Yeah, and there wasn't jobs worth tens of millions to be a broadcaster or something like that. Whatever.
Nope.
However, that happened in football. That's
We have a question, a YouTube question.
Okay.
Our first answer to our question from our old friend, Mr. Bluish Sky 82.
Oh, yeah.
One thing about the NBA that he'd change, players can no longer complain to the refs. Coaches can, players can't. How lovely would that be?
Ooh, lovely.
You can do it like they do on they used to do in high school or
Well, you had to
college.
raise your hand.
No, it's like this is the captain. He's the only
Oh.
guy on your team that can talk to the referee, and that's the way you do it. And that's, I mean, you can't take it all out, but if you go, okay, this is our captain. De'Aaron Fox is our captain. If we have a problem, we have to tell De'Aaron Fox, and he goes and talks to the referee about it. I know it sounds kind of remedial, but I mean, if
No,
you want, you can start by doing that and just eliminating a lot of the extra stuff because you can't talk to referee, and if you go up there and do what you start challenging about a call, that's a technical because you're not the captain.
Well, that's better. That would be better. I'm with Mr. Blue Sky. I mean, I go back far enough to where in the years where you were fouled somebody, you raised your hand and closed your mouth and kept it closed.
To assist the scorekeepers, like, who's the foul on?
Me, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
technical I ever got. One time I got called for a foul, and I put up both hands instead of one and went like this.
Oh.
They just whistled me. Team, mister. I'm
Really?
like, I did. I just put up both hands and then just kind of, I didn't go like this. I just kind of dropped them. And
I did that once and got away with it in
I
high
got
school.
teed up. Yeah.
I got called for a travel, which was not a travel. This day it's like not a travel, and I just gave them this, and they didn't. I guess
Oh
they didn't see
man,
it.
I guess you didn't have the kind of reputation I did because I got teed right up.
I know
Got
something
me
about
Mr. T there for a while.
So listen about tees. I was kicked out of a couple games, but in high school I got kicked out of a game too when I was.
The Comet?
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school, and this guy called Dangerous Dan McGee from Bloomfield was 6'7".
Overrated, but okay.
He was.
There's
he
a couple
was
of
overrated.
songs written about him.
Yeah, he was
Dangerous Dan.
overrated, but 6'7" guy, and I thought he hit me on purpose with his elbow coming down for rebound. I was about the right height to do that.
Yeah.
So I just turned and slugged him, and so
Not so dangerous, are you,
well,
Dan?
the problem was
Way to deal with it in a mature
the
manner.
problem was it didn't even hurt him. He was just like
Dangerous Dan
he just
shook it off.
like a bear. Just shook his head. And I thought, oh my God, and I had a buddy that kind of stepped in there and saved my life.
Wow.
He wasn't as big
Yeah.
as Dan, but he's big enough. And
You
until
think
they
Dan
till
would
the-
have come back at
till-
you and cold-cocked you? You think
No.
Dan would have said, no, I'm good?
No, I don't think he would have. I think there was a pity factor working in there.
little Caucasian calm.
But my buddy kind of saved me where they could, get me off the floor. And of course, I was acting like, let me at him. Let me at him.
Yeah.
Were
You got me, right?
Instantaneous
Let me-
ejection. Just the guy just gave you
Let
this.
me at him as I'm walking backwards.
Dangerous Dan against the Caucasian
Yeah.
comment.
Wow.
I like that.
That would have
Outrageous.
ended my semi-brilliant high school career. I can tell you that.
What do you guys think I might change? You're not going to like this, okay? This is radical.
I
I
hate
change.
it.
One thing I change. The NBA is so three-point heavy now, and it's understandable. It's just we've learned the shooters are almost unbelievable. If you've been watching basketball for a long time, it's like guys are doing things now that I thought were impossible, some of the shots they make.
Sure.
But it's so three-point heavy. Everybody plays the same way. It's understandable why they do, but still, it's getting a little homogenous. So my rule, a team, if you miss, I'm not sure what the number would be. Let's say 8. We can adjust it if we need to. If you miss 8 threes in a row, and it doesn't matter if you make a 2 in there, still, if you miss 8 threes in a row,
As a team.
yeah,
Okay.
you lose a point. Taking a point away.
Lose a point.
Lose a point.
That's not enough.
Jesus
No.
Christ.
Lose a point.
I thought you were gonna go to the old softball rule where sometimes in softball you have to designate the guys that you have to hit home runs. There's a home run limit. I thought maybe you only have 3 guys on your team that can shoot 3-pointers.
That wouldn't work.
I like
But this
that.
is I'm trying to
Jerry, what do you think?
motivate teams to occasionally go inside and not be so reliant on the
24 possible points. We miss them all, and we have to give them back 1. I don't think that's a deterrent, but I love the idea.
Well, that's what I said. Maybe you make it 5.
I think
don't
you
know.
make it 5.
Mrs. Reynolds, what have I
So-
done?
So I wouldn't win your card here, would I? That
I
wouldn't be
think
the best.
I like it. I could give him 5.
Oh, boy. Boy,
I mean,
boy,
you
boy.
gotta show these kids today that there's a penalty. Okay, if you're gonna try all these stupid shots, there's a penalty for that. You got to pay for that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it doesn't come out. You don't lose a point in your personal.
No, not personal.
scoring
It's a
totals.
team point.
Exactly,
It's a
like
team
the
point.
team turnovers.
Actually, it's a team. I think it should be 3 points since it's a 3-point shot. So I think you lose 3 points.
Well, you may be onto something.
I think
there.
I am.
Jerry,
I'm sorry to say that I'm with Waddy on this.
My
There's
God.
got to be a change made, my friend.
Well, I agree with that. There need changes made. But,
There's too many guys shooting it that have no business.
you know,
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we ought to have 8 guys on each team on the floor. 8 on 8. I think that would be really make the defense better.
Oh, to keep scoring down.
No,
there.
that please don't. I'm not
No,
serious.
he's a kidder.
Getting
that's-
silly now
yeah,
on
let's
us
get
when I
back
come
to-
up with this real.
No, I'm with
Well-
you.
Well, my rule, as I've said for 3 years now, get rid of the corner 3.
Yep.
Get rid of it. Take the arch out to the free throw line, kind of extended, and take it there. Get
Okay.
rid of the 3-point corner shot. You'll take away a third at least of the threes. So now you're shooting 25 or so a game, which is fine. We like the 3-point shot. We just don't like 50 of them or 45.
Well, that's basically what our rule
Basically
is.
Well,
what it is,
no,
yeah.
Addresses
because
as well.
I
as
like
far as
what
I'm
he's saying
concerned,
there, yeah, Jeff.
no. If you, my opinion is that if you take 25, you miss them all, then you're just a dumb team, and that's on
25, you miss them all. That's 8 to 3, so that would be 9
Well, it
points.
depends if
Yeah.
you made any in between there or not.
No, 8 in a row. Well, that's right. Yeah,
yeah,
because
it
you
have
could have
to be
been,
in a row,
2
Phantom.
and 20, 2 for 27.
As
or
the
something like
co-author
that.
of the rule, as you know, they have to be in a row.
No, I'm the.
Well, let me
I'm the
interrupt here
helper.
because
it's your rule.
we need to interrupt here. It's very important. Those of you that might still be watching.
Oh, they're.
I think they just tuned in for this. Is what I think.
So, but I know we're supposed to have just one thing, and I gave
let
you
me-
my one, but I'm going to add another
I
anyway.
like it.
Because Mr. Blue Sky, he had one that I agree with. So you do that. You get rid of the corner 3. Then also at the free throw line, you go to the college rules where you line up on free throws, where you're moving them back a box.
Oh, okay.
And that eliminates
I like that.
all the wrestling and goofiness that happens on every missed free throw where guys are just clearly there's fouls everywhere. And more importantly to me, if you're the team that has the free throws and you miss them, you shouldn't get them back. You don't deserve them back.
I think
Oh, I
in
like
the
that.
Korean basketball leagues, like if you miss a free throw, you lose a point, something like that. So
No, I'm not going to go that far, but I like the concept, but I'm not going that far.
no, I don't like it either.
I
It's a
like
How
little
about if
extreme.
you double dribble? Would that cost you a point maybe?
No,
They
I don't
never
think
were-
so,
they're not
Jerry.
calling that,
That's
Jerry.
kind of silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
But,
point. They
yeah,
never
they're not
called,
calling
so,
that.
all right.
My
How about
change is
this?
just administrative. I just want to get rid of the 2-minute report at the end of the game.
Yeah,
it doesn't serve a purpose.
a waste of everybody's time,
Everybody,
huh?
I mean, everybody. Yeah, nobody is happy with it.
Yeah.
and it just shows incompetence, really, and nobody's happy with it. You're hurting your own workforce by putting it out, by showing, well, these guys blew all these calls at the end of the game, and I guess they're not very good referees then. It doesn't serve any purpose. It just makes people angry. Just get rid of it.
Yeah,
Because it doesn't. Okay, so you say, well, we got screwed at the end, and they come out and they say, you know something, you got screwed at the end. What does that do for
I
you?
think fans of some teams actually like doing that as much as they complain about it. I think it does give them on some level the satisfaction of going, see, we have proof. We're getting screwed all the time.
Right,
But,
but
you're
it-
probaby right. It does undermine
Your whole
the-
workforce.
Yeah. How
That's
about this?
great, though. I like that.
Thank you,
Yeah.
dear.
That's not that hard to do.
I mean, that's-
either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all you got to do is say, okay, it's out.
They
Okay.
didn't have one
But
for years and
whoever
years.
whoever does all that work on it doesn't have to do it anymore.
We
They
can
can
find
go do something else.
We can find other things for them.
They
yes.
can count how many threes in a row you miss and then take points away.
I'd
from
also propose that on social media, if some Joe Blow somewhere says something about a player, whatever it is, if that player responds and they're angry, that's a 1-game suspension. If
you.
somebody,
Oh, I thought you were going to say that they have to match up with the player
no,
in person.
if somebody on social media, some schmo says something about you suck or something, and you respond to it, come on, this isn't 5th grade.
so
Sit
is that
down.
is that the Durant rule then?
We might call it
Okay.
that.
You can't even have a burner account, is what you're saying?
You better not. That's
do,
5
you're in
games.
trouble, mister.
That's 5
That's 5 games, the burner, 5-game
It
burner.
just- I know you can't do that, and there's no reason for it. It's just embarrassing to me, though, when players get so bent out of shape about what some fan somewhere says on Twitter. It's
Yeah.
like, come on.
Well, and 90% of that is people wanting to be.
Yeah, they're just trying to poke the bear.
Exactly.
You know, or one other thing, little thing.
Here we
we're going too far here, I guess.
Not at
but
all.
I think
We're
we're
just
changing
getting
the game
warmed
for the
up.
better.
But
Yes.
the NBA, when all the referee periods where they're going over the calls, the missed calls at the monitor.
You mean when they're at the scores table going over a call?
Okay, when their challenge is made or whatever. 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds to look at the monitor. The New York, they're going to have. You've made the call. So if you can't see something clearly that right away, that makes the call invalid, it stands.
Okay. Sometimes it takes us longer, Jared, though. We got to figure out where the clock is, too.
Yeah, we got to figure out the clock and how many seconds. Yeah, that's true, Jared.
Reset the clock for 3 tenths. Who's the best referee in the league right now at addressing the audience with those things?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Bill Kennedy's pretty good.
Zach Zarba's pretty good. Zach
Yeah.
Zarba, Bill
They're
Kennedy.
auditioning. Yeah, they're auditioning for speaking parts in movies.
And who's
stuff.
the guy with I'm not making fun, but he has an accent. He's a very good Kevin somebody. He's a very good official. He's good at it, too. I'm sorry.
Is it possible, and I know that, not for injury, is it possible if teams know that LeBron James is going to be sitting out 3 games from now, that they release that information so that the public knows if I'm going to that game, LeBron James is not going to be playing?
It's going to cost us ticket sales. Why are we going to do
Well,
that?
that's the thing. I mean, it's costing
Why do we want to
you
do
goodwill
that?
now because they're showing up. It's like, oh, yeah, this guy isn't playing. I'm
didn't
not for
know.
injury. Injury is injury. I know that.
We didn't know he wasn't going to be there. It's not
We
our
didn't
fault.
know he was going to take rest.
Yeah,
You know he's
well,
going to take
you don't
rest.
want to know if
We
he's
thought
gonna
he was
be
going to
available.
play, and his toe hurt him as he started putting on
just
his
part
shoe.
of the relationship between the game and the fans. And I know that, as we said, fans always seem to get screwed all the time. And yeah, maybe there's not a perfect way to do it, but I mean, you got to try to take them into consideration a little bit.
Well, I think the gamblers are going to, if anything's going to change along those fronts, it's going to be the point where
It
because of the
certainly
gambling,
is,
people are going to go, hey, you got to give us this information. But other than that,
That's a great point.
yeah,
it really
yeah.
is.
Other than that, the most important aspect of the relationship between teams and players, and fans, as far as the teams are concerned, is the money.
Yeah.
So why do I want to give you information that
Right.
might cost me
Right.
money?
But why-
I don't want you to know that.
Ideally, if you screw me on that, I won't spend money with you in the future. But I know they don't.
Yeah,
think
you always
it that
say
way
that,
because
but
they
you
figure
do.
they're going to come
Yeah,
back
you
anyway.
always say that.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
we're
people
sorry,
are like,
but
"Oh,
you
I'm never
do."
watching another game," or they're at the next game front row.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the Kings here.
Okay.
Here's how concerning is this to you, gentlemen, Jerry Reynolds and Mr. Basketball. You look at a remaining schedule the rest of the way. This is just by combined winning percentages. There's other ways to do it. The Kings, for example, have to this point, according to Basketball Reference, they've had the easiest schedule in the league.
Okay.
To this point. Rest of the way here, the Kings have the 3rd toughest remaining schedule. 523 winning percentage for their remaining foes. That's the 3rd toughest. Denver, and I'll just give you a quick here. Denver, the remaining teams, 491. Memphis, 497. Clippers are at 531. Dallas, 486. Phoenix, 515. New Orleans, 488. Minnesota, 511. Warriors, 501. Portland, 502. So the Kings have the 3rd toughest schedule in the league the rest of the way. How concerning is that?
That by numbers, it doesn't concern me at all because all those numbers are really close, and it's like a game difference between 505 and 471 is like 1 or 2 games. That's not that big of a
You're
deal.
a math guy, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, it doesn't make it's not that it's 531 to 470. That's a huge. It's like 2 games, so it's not that big a deal. Obviously, it's going to be a competitive rest of the season. Everybody's bunched up. We've talked about it a million times. And the good thing for the Kings is like all other teams. Kings have to play tough schedule. Those guys, I mean, the Clippers are playing the Nuggets and they're playing the Lakers, so everybody's playing everybody else too. So it's not like somebody's going to get, like an easy ride. I think it's important as far as the Kings are concerned. Like tonight, they've got Dallas at home, and Dallas is playing their first game with
Two nights in a row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two nights in a
Yeah.
row. But if I'm playing Dallas, maybe this is the time I want to play them before they figured out how Kyrie and Luka are going to meld together. So I think the timing of when you play these teams is important. And I know they have Phoenix again before the All-Star break, and no Kevin Durant in that game because he won't be back till later. So, I mean, that has something to do with it
Yeah,
as
that has
well.
a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it's kind of like injuries. I mean, of course, the Kings have really caught a lot of teams with major injuries more so than themselves
Yeah,
have had
absolutely.
it. So that works for you maybe, and maybe it hadn't worked for them as well as we thought it would in certain cases and all that. But I agree with Phantom. I mean, does it concern me a little bit because it is a tougher schedule? Then what concerns me, there's a couple other concerns, is which of those teams will be better,
Exactly.
going forward that you're going to face, which skews those numbers a little bit more, or should. I think, and then maybe to me the most important is who has played the most road games. and got the best home schedule. In other words,
Right.
like the Clippers, I think have
Clippers were high in road games. Yeah.
yeah, high in road games, and they're behind the Kings. So would that be absolutely concerning?
Yeah, yeah, and because the Kings' schedule is a lot tougher, and first half they had comparatively an easy schedule, so yeah, it's fair to wonder, well, how much of what they did is going to translate when things get tougher here. How about the rebounding? How many Kings right now? Kings players are averaging 5 or more rebounds a game. You
How
guys know?
many Kings
Yeah.
players? Well,
5 or
one.
more.
I'd say one,
I'd
probably.
say
That's
2.
it. That's 1. Yeah.
I wanted to be different.
Sabonis is the only one, 12.2. Next up is Barnes at 4.7, and then Murray's 4.6. So I think the defensive rebound has to get better the rest of the way. Has to continue to get better.
It should get better, needs to get better, and I mean, I'll say this: it's like Tom Thibodeau made a great point about the Hart. Trading for Hart. He said, in today's game, your guards have to rebound because there's so many long rebounds. Now Fox is doing a nice job, but I think
He's 4 something too.
Yeah, so you need another. Your guards need to rebound more. It doesn't take away, both, in my mind, Keegan Murray and Barnes probably need to rebound at least one more than what they're currently getting for minutes played.
Yeah.
So
As long as you get him, doesn't matter who gets him,
Right.
right? If Sabonis was at 10-something and Barnes was at 6-something, it'd look better, but still as a team, they need to collect more.
and I think Keegan is rebounding much better because he was about a 2.
He was down there low, yeah.
for a third of the year, and so he's been getting. Of course, it's also true that he's taken some that probably Domantas would get if he didn't get them. It's not like they're competing with the other guys. There's 2 guys.
Yeah, I know.
On some defensive rebounds, there's no competition for them because they're, it's not like the old days where there's always
That's
6
right.
guys.
Rebounds in traffic. That's right. Yeah.
The rebounds in traffic. There's not near as many of those.
Yeah, that game that Sabonis missed recently, I think didn't Murray and Barnes both have 10 rebounds in that game? So I
yeah.
think that they did fill that
Sure.
vacuum a little bit. So like you say, maybe that Sabonis getting an inordinately large amount of the rebounds. But, I mean, let's get over 5. I would be comfortable if we got that over 5. That's nice.
Do you think, Mr. Basketball, when the NBA, and it's inevitable, they're going to adopt the rule where you miss 8 threes in a row, you lose a point. Will that affect the Kings more than other teams, or?
No, because I think the Kings have maybe more depth of three-point shooters than other teams. Other teams may have like 2 of them, and then they have 2 other guys who say, "Oh, I'm a three-point shooter," and maybe that'll
Right.
affect them.
That's a good
I think the
point.
Kings will be like when they get down, when they have 6 in a row they've missed. Like, let's get it to Herter.
See,
Let's get it to
that's
this
the
guy.
strategy
And they
comes
have
in.
they have more
Yeah.
players that they can really count on and making that 3. So I like their chances in this new regime.
Well, the only way,
Gary, you're kind
He's
of
coming around.
You're warming
He's
up to
coming
the
around
idea.
on it.
No,
Yeah.
he likes to penalize people. I like that.
I was just thinking, with about 10 assistant coaches stacked in Cordwood, first row,
Yeah,
second,
absolutely.
you at least should have one in charge of the missed 3-point
Yes.
shot.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
They'd have a job.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I think we should pay him $500,000 for
Yeah.
that. At
At
least.
least.
At
And
least.
Get one of the former players who couldn't shoot threes that well, so
Yeah,
he can
so
recognize
he'd
the trends
recognize-
that are going
We
on.
also need a new section on the scoreboard to keep track of that.
Oh,
How many
missed
threes in a row
threes.
have they missed now? Is that 6? No, it's 7. Whoa.
Can you imagine
They
when
better
when the visiting team's
Yes.
like at 6, the crowd's going to be going nuts. Oh, I love this idea. The Whitey rule.
You're welcome, NBA.
yeah, take it away.
When this happens, and
it will.
and like these guys say it will, I will become a lacrosse fan.
Will you go back to baseball then?
I don't know, lacrosse.
Cross is a fine game.
Field hockey, lacrosse.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, Jer, it's time, with your permission, to continue here with Comp This.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Jerry, the true expert, gives us a player. Phantom and I compete to see who can come up with a better comp for that player. We've done it 5 times. Phantom leading 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a tough one today.
Yeah. So I'm trying to tie it up today. We got a tough one. Who's our player today that we're comping, Jerry?
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler.
That's a
Phantom?
good one.
It was
Well,
a tough one, wasn't it? All
It
kidding
was a
aside.
tough one. It was a very enjoyable one. Now, last time we had Buddy Hield, and I came through with mine, but I was going to go with Jeff Malone. I said, no, he's a little too accomplished, and you told me that was probably a better choice. So this time I kind of went Jimmy Butler, and I kind of took it up a little bit of a notch. A small forward. He can score from anywhere. He can shoot threes, but not really a three-point shooter. He's tough. He's a good defensive player. He's a good leader. So I went back in history, Jared, and I went to a guy who's about the same size. Didn't shoot threes because they didn't have threes. He's a winner. He's very tough. He's all defensive team a bunch of time, won a bunch of rings. And I took a guy that probably, if you went to list the top small forwards in the game. He'd be about 10 or 15 ahead of Jimmy Butler, but I feel confident in getting this guy's name out there. I'm saying John Havlicek.
Ooh, yeah, well, he's better than Jimmy Butler.
John Havlicek.
John
All right.
Havlicek, though. That's a great complete player for
Complete
sure.
Yeah.
player, very tough.
Jimmy's tough because he's another one of those guys who, if he played in a previous era, his role would be different, right? He's a small forward, played a lot of guard. Would you agree with me? I mean, that's one of the things that makes it
guess so.
tough.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. No. Okay. You.
Sorry, you're looking at me for confirmation over there.
I just trying
We're
to
against
commiserate
each other.
with you about how
Commiserate? No, I like what I did.
difficult this challenge is, because
It
I
was
had a guy
difficult.
who, to me, was very similar to Jimmy Butler, but he played a long time ago and he was smaller. So I went with similar size. Field goal percentage, Jimmy Butler 464 for his career. This guy was 470. Jimmy Butler, was he six-time All-Star? Or
Yes.
Jimmy Butler
Six.
6? And
I
this
think
guy,
6,
my
yes.
guy was 5.
Well, there you go.
Both shot a lot of free throws, 6.5 per game for Butler, 6.3 for Chet the Jet Walker, another
Chet
former
Walker.
Bull.
Yeah,
and I know they're
Chet-
some ways dissimilar. Chet Walker wasn't necessarily a Bull in the China shop, but they were very similar in their production.
Also, Jerry, this is the 6th contest, and I think John Havlicek was number 6. No, he actually
No, I
wasn't.
think Bill Russell was
was.
number 6.
Okay, I lose.
But
Take it away. You
well, there was
17,
two
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I really appreciate both of you, how the time you put in. Clearly, you've thought about it. You give good reasons for your selections, but there's no doubt about it. Bam.
Yes,
wins.
that's right.
When he said Havlicek
Yeah.
was number 6,
Okay, I tried
Well,
to throw
that hurt
off.
him a little bit.
That hurt me, but I'm more of a feel guy. White is more of a numbers guy.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what's happened so
Yeah.
far.
Can I tell you who I almost said? And again, I
Yeah.
would have won. A guy who went to Marquette, but was smaller, but was known as what was he? The brute, George Thompson. I almost went George Thompson.
George, yeah, that's a nice name from the past.
but he was smaller. He was a
I
guard.
think I actually looked up George Thompson.
Well, I think
yeah.
he played some forward at 6'2" or 3. I mean, at that time. But boy, a physical guy. Yeah, that's it. Who's your second one?
I had John Havlicek. I didn't go to a second
Yeah,
one.
you just knew it was good.
Well, I mean, like I said, last time I went with a guy that was a little bit more accomplished, and you said that was probably the way to go. So that's kind of what I went on this time. And
Yeah, the only negative there with Havlicek, he is so much better than Butler, in my opinion.
I agree with. I agree with that.
it was a ridiculous selection.
It was, and I still won. So what does that do to your selection? That's weird.
I'm feeling pretty good about my pick. I
But
didn't win, but I'm okay with it.
I got to check out that list. Best small forwards of all time, and
I'm not
Havlicek-
at all sure Bob Love wouldn't have been closer.
Huh.
I think he's already used Bob.
I
Love.
did use Bob Love.
Yeah, I think he
for
used
some of
it
that.
every
plug.
week.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking. No, actually, there was a guy that I kind of thought was similar, but I'd already used him. Roger Brown to me was a little bit of Jimmy
Roger
Butler.
Brown is probably right on.
But I used him to
Yeah,
win
I know,
earlier,
right.
so I
Yeah.
could have won 2 of them with
Yeah,
the same
Roger-
guy.
Roger-
but I don't want to use the same guy.
Yeah,
That's what-
Roger Brown would have been.
I think that really would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Congratulations, Fano.
Thank you.
and he's sincere about it. You can tell.
I can tell you. Well, he's still happy that I went with him
Yeah.
on this rule change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of John Havlicek every game I watch now because they have the number 6 on all the uniforms.
Yeah,
I think,
that's right.
oh,
Yeah. It's
Hondo, baby.
Yeah. Havlicek. Yeah.
Boy, I mean, not to know number 6.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad.
Whatever.
That
You
was
got
bad.
the W.
I was thinking of Mike Reardon probably.
Who do you have for us next time, Jerry?
Mike Conley.
Gosh, that's tremendous. That's absolutely tremendous.
he gonna put the
I've already
T-Wolves?
got. I've already got. Can I give you mine now?
I
Over
think
the
he's,
top?
No.
Can I give? I got him now. I'm done. Who? I can't tell.
What? Can I tell you now? Yeah.
Can I tell you now? Lenny Wilkins.
Not bad.
All right.
You should have saved us.
But I couldn't after I said I'd tell you, and then I didn't tell you.
you
I mean,
kind of.
I'll come up with another one, and they'll both beat him.
But I think,
There you
I
go.
think Conley's going to be a nice fit for the T-Wolves. I do.
I
yeah.
do too.
And D'Angelo Russell running the Lakers?
I don't.
He ain't. No, hold it.
Okay. I don't know. I know what you're
Okay.
gonna say.
Hey.
He is not going to run the Lakers. He's going to be a spot-up shooter 90% of the time. You know who's running the Lakers. Same guy who ran the Cleveland Cavaliers, ran the Miami Heat. He's the point guard that they say isn't the point guard that has the ball all the time, makes all the plays. A guy named LeBron James will be running the team for 80% of the time. D'Angelo might for 10. But basically, he's a real good shooter if he doesn't have pressure, and he can make a few plays, and he'll help him.
Yeah. Anthony
he'll
Davis
help
going to be busy on defense because D'Angelo
No, he's
Russell
not.
can't stay with his own shadow. Angelo Russell. That's
well,
what they should call him.
Because he
No
has
D?
No D?
Yeah, I guess that's
there
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, boy.
Well, Anthony
It's
Davis.
true, though.
If Anthony Davis can be busy, I think they would take that because that would mean he'd be on the floor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, work as hard as you can, Anthony
Well,
Davis.
they got Brad Bamba back there, baby. He'd be swatting stuff out of there like.
They got a lot of guys. Let's see how it works.
Well, have a good weekend. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah. No. Well, I
I
hope
hope you can. You
hope
may
that
not
you-
have one, Jerry,
Yeah.
but you can go into it thinking it's going to be good.
And I hope you have a good weekend.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope you have a good weekend too.
Nah, that probably not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what are you doing? You doing any ARC?
ARC, we just got the first win for the baseball squad yesterday.
Whoa.
No, we're off until next week when we get to do softball finally. Very excited about doing some softball.
It's about time.
I know.
See you Monday.
See you Monday.
On the, subscribe. Right? Subscribe.
Yes, yeah.
On the old-fashioned 3.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.